Hey, thanks for joining in on this video chat with me, Adrian. So I have Adrian. He's going to be talking about why he's going into the software development industry from his previous industry. So I'll let Adrian talk about that and give a self-introduction.
Yeah, so I started off, I had got a degree in structural engineering and then was kind of working in construction for the past 5 years, doing seismic design and working on design on curtain walls and cladding. And then I really just didn't like it. After 5 years, I really was looking for something else. And I always was kind of like a natural builder. And all of my friends that work for like big name tech companies, I saw them kind of, I wouldn't say cruising, but they always just seem to have more flexibility with their schedule. In the construction industry, I was kind of working like 10-hour days and I didn't like what I was doing and all that stuff. So one of my friends actually told me to get into coding. And I started doing some tutorials, kind of checking it out. I knew it was kind of like a hot commodity right now. And it pays well, and they're very in demand, and they're very valued. So I kind of checked it out. I did some tutorials. And then I actually really enjoy it. Because it gives me a sense of like building something. I feel like I'm a natural builder. That's why I kind of got into structural engineering. But then when you're doing like web dev, which is what I'm doing right now, and you see kind of the web application kind of, formalizing, it's so incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, like you're saying like you were basically an engineer before. Like, can you walk me through like what was the difference between that and like being a software engineer?
So when I first started off my career, I was in seismic design. Basically, well, all I did is basically like doing homework like every day. I was just doing calculations, anchor calcs, trying to make sure what kind of anchors to use when supporting like MEP systems. I did that for about a year, and I kind of transitioned into BIM modeling as well, which is like the new kind of thing in construction. Basically, you're modeling out how the building is built during pre-construction, so that all the logistics and stuff is kind of worked out for you. So that way, everyone kind of knows how the building's supposed to be built. It's supposed to save you time and money once construction actually starts, because you don't want delays. So after I was doing seismic design, I kind of got into BIM modeling because the company I was at, they needed someone to do the BIM modeling. It was like a new kind of, it's like a new skill, a new track, or I guess you say a new, it's a new thing in construction.
Okay.
But yeah, so essentially they needed someone to do it, and I had some downtime, and then that's how I kind of got into BIM modeling.
Okay.
So I stopped doing kind of seismic design because it was so boring. But you're essentially just doing calculations like math calcs, and then from there I did that for like a couple months. And then BIM modeling was actually something I was interested in because it actually felt like I was building something, right? Which is why I got into the industry. Basically, you're building it virtually. And then...
Yeah, so can you walk me through like how you made this change, right? Like,
yeah,
because you were trained up as an engineer, a structural engineer, it seems, in the construction industry.
Yeah.
And just walk me through how you took that and then try to get into like the software engineering industry.
Well, basically, they weren't related. So
Okay.
basically, I started off just doing tutorials from Udacity and Codecademy and what's the other one? Free Code Camp. Started doing that part-time on the side. And I was actually doing learning mobile development at first. I picked up this book on Android development because I was a big Android enthusiast at the time. and then kind of shifted my focus onto web, only because I think it was a little more in demand. And like everyone always needs a web application, but no one really needs a mobile. Not everyone always needs a mobile application. And then let's see. And then so I was kind of doing the tutorials, but then after a while, I just didn't feel like I was kind of getting anywhere. Only because it wasn't structured. Like there's so much information out there. I just didn't know. I just didn't have a plan to kind of follow. My first kind of plan was to kind of do it, just self-teach myself. And then after like, I think it was like 4 or 5 months, I was like, okay, I'm not getting anywhere. I need some more structure. And I started looking into coding programs, right? And then from there, I found like, I was trying to do something that was online, and something cheaper, something that kind of fit my my budget for it. And then that's when I kind of found Bloc and Thinkful and stuff like that, and that's where I'm at right now.
Cool, yeah. And then for the audience out there, so I'm also part of. I'm in the same boot camp, so I joined right after Thinkful acquired Bloc. So the curriculum that me and Adrian are actually going through are quite different, but I also resonate with the reasons that Adrian gave, right? So we basically found or wanted, we were both like self-taught developers for a while. Like for me, my journey was like, I was trying to do the self-taught route for 6 months, close to a year, part-time when I was like working at my like sales job. But then it was just like, there was no focus because like I'll be working like or investing scattered hours in after hours, right? Like 1-2 hours. Sometimes it would be more, and sometimes it would be like a week gap. So I was like, okay, at my last sales job, I was like, man, I really need to commit full time into doing this. And then when I was researching other coding boot camps, like big ones came out like App Academy, Hack Reactor, and these other like boot camps in the San Francisco Bay Area. Those definitely came up, but then I wanted the flexibility and like the affordability that these bigger coding boot camps didn't really provide. And that's where I happened upon Bloc. And in my story, like I was about to pick another coding boot camp called Covalence. And then it was in like Alabama or the Georgia, like not in San Francisco. They were also teaching like full stack JavaScript, right? But then I did more research around the coding boot camps that were brick and mortar and online, and they're all teaching full stack JavaScript. So I went with Bloc and Thinkful because when I did a quick Google search of like top coding boot camps for 2019, they were ranked number like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Like this other like non-existent, not non-existent, but like not well-known coding boot camp. Yeah. So it's really cool that, you know, you were sharing the same points on that. So those are definitely the pros, right? So just a recap, it's the coding bootcamp Bloc. It's self-paced. It's all online. It's remote. And then it does afford that structured like roadmap versus like doing a self-taught route, right? Because when you're doing a self-taught, you don't know when to stop or when you're good enough. But in a coding bootcamp, they give you like a roadmap of what success looks like. And for the audience out there, I think Bloc has changed their pricing model, but if you did commit to doing it full time, like it costs, I think like $1,000, a little bit over $1,000 per month, and it's a subscription model. So the faster you finish it, the cheaper it is. So that's why, like for me, I'm like I'm grinding every day trying to finish it in 3 months, so that instead of costing like close to like 10K, it's just like a little bit over 3K.
Yeah. Are you doing the monthly subscription?
Yeah. So when I initially thought of joining, I was like, man, okay, it's $7,500.
Yeah.
Cheapest, right? That's what I saw on the Bloc website. But then luckily one of their salespersons was like, yeah, if you're doing it full time, then you can subscribe to it monthly and it'll be cheaper. And I was like, wow, I'm saving like the other boot camp that I was like planning to attend was like $9,500 for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I saved like 6K.
Yeah. Actually, they I don't know how it is now, but when you do the 8 months, if you finish early, they actually refund you the difference for the time that you didn't use if you finished early.
Oh, that's super nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I went that route. And then if I finish early, I could just get refunded for the months where I didn't use like the mentorship and all that stuff.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So we talked a lot about the pros of like Bloc and Thinkful, but I know that when we were planning to meet, you also had a lot of complaints about it too. So let's talk about the cons of joining Bloc or Thinkful.
Cons, well, so like you, I kind of did when I was researching boot camps and stuff like that. I did a quick Google search, and they did have really good reviews on Course Report and Switch Up, and it just seemed like it was a good idea at the time. Plus, they also had a tuition reimbursement guarantee. So if you didn't find a job in 6 months in web development, like you get your money back. So that was always kind of nice. Although now that I'm in the curriculum, though, I wouldn't say it's complaints that I have against it. I just don't think the online learning style is suitable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I enjoy more like being in a traditional classroom and kind of collaborating with other people and kind of bouncing ideas off each other and kind of learning from one another. And when you're learning something as difficult as like web development, I think it sucks learning it on your own. I don't know, right? You probably experienced that too, right?
Yeah, it sucks. So I have like similar complaints about an online coding bootcamp, right? So
Mm-hmm.
even though like my home office right now is pretty nice, like I have a standing desk and stuff like that, but it gets lonely, and then I'm only interacting with like probably just one person. Just like it could be a pro that like you're not surrounded by a lot of people, but
Yeah.
it's a con because like when you need immediate help, like you can only get help via Slack or the QA sessions that Thinkful has set up. But when you don't have that, you're kind of screwed. Like you don't know what you don't know. So for me, like in my blog and the next, I think my previous video series, I talked about ways to overcome that, right? So for me, what I personally did was I looked into my LinkedIn social circles and I prospected like other software engineers. So each week, like I have like a rotating number of like mentors outside of Bloc and Thinkful to help me out when I'm stuck. So this is super helpful when I'm like tackling these capstone projects or when I'm doing like trying to finish algorithm challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely get the most help from my friends that are in that are software engineers. Uh, to be honest with you, they probably count for like 75% of all my questions, and 25% kind of go to the Slack channel with the technical mentors or my personal one-on-one mentor. But sometimes it's kind of just difficult. Like even when you have questions and you write it into the Slack channel, sometimes it takes a while for them to get back to you. And then your mentor session's only once per week, and it's only 30 minutes. That's kind of just like enough time to go over one issue that you're having, and then that's it, right? Like, so yeah, so that's like my issue with that. And I honestly like it's meant for um full-time workers. Like the block curriculum is actually meant for like full-time workers, and then you're supposed to be doing it part-time. But I honestly can't see someone learning the material fully and then working full time as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's meant for you to finish in 8 months, which is like, that's like one complaint I had. Like, I don't think anyone could finish 8 months like working full time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they market themselves to do, right? Like,
yeah,
it's supposed to be 8 months and you're supposed to invest like 20 hours at least, and then you should be able to get it done. But even doing this full time now, and then like I'm trying to get it done in 3 months, but like once you're stuck on something, like it can take like hours if you don't get help.
Yeah. So sometimes you're just banging your head on the wall for like hours on one problem, and then it's just um, like sometimes one checkpoint takes me like the whole day, right? But then there are also other days where I go through like multiple checkpoints. But I yeah, I just don't think it's doable working a full-time job and then working and then doing the block curriculum. I think you'll burn out after like a month or two, um, but yeah.
Yeah. So what are you doing right now? Like, where are you at with your block coding bootcamp? And then what are you planning to do with that?
So I'm actually on the tail end of the module 4, which is the back end.
Oh.
And then after that, I just have my capstone project, and then essentially the curriculum's kind of done with. So I'm about like 75% done with the curriculum. So I'm almost there.
How have you been doing it for?
Say 3.5 months now.
3.5.
Yeah, so I'm almost done. I'd say I have about a month and a half left to go.
And you're doing this while you're working right now, right?
Yeah, well, I was actually, so what happened was I actually quit my job to kind of do this full time. Mm-hmm. And then I started hearing like horror stories about people not getting jobs, and it's taking them like at least a year to kind of get a web developer role, especially after a bootcamp. And these are not just from online curriculums, but also from like Hack Reactor, App Academy, and all that stuff. So it kind of like made me worried, mm-hmm. especially since I live on my own in the Bay Area and it's super expensive living here. So I provide kind of for myself. Mm-hmm. So I kind of shifted my focus into kind of just getting into a tech industry, just getting into tech, mm-hmm. and kind of trying to see if I could transition into the engineering department through there.
Oh, that's your strategy. That's really cool. I guess, so you're about to finish, you're 70 to 80% done. What are your, I guess, like plans on getting into the industry? Just kind of elaborate a little bit more about that, and how does like the block coding bootcamp, did it help you, or was it, could you have done it on your own? Talk about
yeah, so I think it definitely did help just get me on a roadmap, right? And get me structured and kind of go from like a to Z kind of roadmap. If I could go back though, I definitely would choose an in-person bootcamp, because like I said, I think it's a better learning environment for me, and then I could knock it off in 3 months and then kind of just start looking for a job right away. Like, and then I also think there's more networking opportunities with an in-person bootcamp. I think on our Slack channel in the Bay Area, people in the web dev track, there's only like maybe like 5 or 6 of us that are active there. Yeah, so but once I'm done with the curriculum, I'm planning on, updating my resume and kind of, I'm going to keep working. I'm going to work on some open source projects, because all my friends tell me like you have to work on open source and work on some side projects while and continue learning, right?
Yeah.
And then I want to pick up some new technologies that weren't taught in the bootcamp, like TypeScript, and maybe another framework like Angular or something like that.
Interviewing right now for like web developer roles, even though you're fully employed?
What was that?
Have you been interviewing for like these like software developer roles right now?
No, I have not.
That's because you want to finish the bootcamp and then like dedicate your time to doing that later, right?
Yeah, only because I don't think my skills are there yet to be applying for a web developer role.
Uh-huh.
And plus, like my projects, I kind of want to clean them up a bit, because right now they're not very styled. I was trying to get through the curriculum as fast as possible, so I kind of left the styling part like to the very end. So I'm going to go back and kind of style it and make it all nice and presentable and stuff like that before I start applying.
Cool. I mean, we're about to end this conversation because I think it's going a little bit over what we intended. So just final words, like, would you recommend like other people or watching this to like attend the Bloc or Thinkful online coding bootcamp?
So I would recommend it depending on you. Like if you're the type of person who enjoys kind of learning on your own and then learning through a mentorship one-on-one, and who wants a self-paced structured curriculum that's on the cheaper side of things, then yeah, I definitely recommend it. But if you want to collaborate with other people and then kind of learn with other people, like in a traditional classroom setting, I definitely would recommend doing an in-person boot camp as opposed to Bloc or Thinkful and stuff like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, Adrian, for your time on the channel. We're actually gonna meet in person for this like Thinkful event. I'm gonna see Adrian there, but thanks for joining in, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.